I'm Imran Garda in Doha. The main stories on Al Jazeera. Iran's supreme leader has warned his country's protesters to stop or face the consequences.
So forth will continue to flow to Gaza.
What do you hope to achieve by punishing the people of Gaza? Now with Steve Chow, who's reporting for us from Natori on the eastern coast. Steve, far away from tumbling share prices and stock markets, a bitter reality. On the ground, it's a flattened landscape, scene of destruction. Take us through what you're seeing in Natori.
People sustain these residents, like 13-year-old Aslambek Abuyev. Fluent in Turkish and living here for over a decade, his identity, however, is not in question. My home is in Chechnya, not in Turkey, he says.
Dr. Ron McNair, he perished on the Challenger in January of 1986. But shortly after becoming an astronaut, I met him. I was a test pilot. And he asked me if I was going to apply for the space shuttle program. I told him, not on your life.
Julian Assange, thank you very much for joining us. So first of all, take us through what exactly, in a nutshell, what this video shows. It's the place we all call home. A small green and blue globe, as you see, orbiting a distant star in the vast emptiness of space. Or perhaps not so empty, according to a new study which shows the universe may be a lot more crowded than we previously thought. Well, here's how it works. General Assange insists that the coercive methods of interrogation, including torture, were sanctioned at the highest levels of the French state.
Statistically, 69% of Indians have access to power. Now, that number drops down dramatically to 38% of those who have electricity here in the biggest state of Uttar Pradesh, the state which has the most amount of seats in parliament. Well, if you thought that number was low, here in this particular village of Dera within Uttar Pradesh, that number goes right down to 0. And that's why they're not voting.
What do you make of that? Was he implying that the Egyptians or the Arabs are not worthy of democracy?
Well, of course, he wouldn't say this openly, publicly. But I think his message, if one can read between the lines, was quite unambiguous. You know that wonderful French proverb, plus que ça change, plus ça reste le même. The more it changes, the more it stays the same.
Of Iraq, Masoud Barzani wants that referendum over Kirkuk's future. He wants it to be held. The United Nations says it's a recipe for civil war. The UN has a point, doesn't it? Presence in Iraq to 50,000 support troops by the end of August makes him, quote, nervous. That was the word he used, nervous. Does it make you nervous?
No, it does not.
The recent Moscow bombings, masterminded by your brother, Doku Umarov, that was his claim in a video. In the next half hour, we'll watch the video with the WikiLeaks editor and a US military analyst giving us their perspectives on the unfolding events. We must warn you, however, the following footage contains some images and audio that you might find disturbing. That's precisely what critics would point to show the price of what they would call appeasement. Since you made that statement 2 years ago, there's not been any headway. It's gotten worse with North Korea. Maybe the same will happen with Iran.
Well, there are some similarities, but there are also dissimilarities. In Iran today, you have an election campaign.
Command Sergeant in the Israeli Army Reserves. He's also one of the co-founders of Friend a Soldier. Thanks a lot for joining us, Josh. Josh, from the outset, this website smacks of public relations. Carl Sagan had said...
Absolutely.
Yeah, Carl Sagan had said that we all live on this pale blue dot. He famously said that. That was back then, according to our understanding of the vastness of the universe then. If it was a dot then, what is it? What is Earth now if it was a dot then?
Absolutely. The position of the Earth in the universe is minuscule. It's completely insignificant.
While Washington, as policy, refuses to comment on any of the leaks, the real pressure is on the Haitian president. This train can hit speeds of up to 120 kilometers an hour, cutting a pilgrim's grinding journey from 5 hours to about 5 minutes.
But not all pilgrims. For the immediate future, only Saudis and other Gulf country nationals can use the train.
They are here not to grieve for a recently departed loved one, but to mourn the loss of the former French colony of Algeria and to remember those who resorted to violence to keep it French.
Chandapalji, you keep saying that your village doesn't have electricity, but this is just outside your village. This looks like electricity cables.
Extraordinary that house is actually...
Sorry, I have to mention at this point that...
Go ahead.
We're just feeling another aftershock at this point. We can feel the whole ground shaking a bit.
Cold War was exactly what space exploration needed to give it that impetus, that push. There is no impetus at the
Some
moment.
people say that because some people feel you have to have an enemy to accomplish anything. And
do you think that the Muslim Brotherhood, as it stands today, is the embodiment of the organization that he founded all those years ago and evokes the same spirit and message that he envisaged? It's famous as home to the Manhattan Project, where scientists created the first nuclear weapons during World War II. Today, the massive complex includes 2,000 buildings spread over 90 square kilometers. More than 12,000 residents fled the town of Los Alamos after a mandatory evacuation was ordered on Monday. There's an eerie, smoky feel about the place. It's completely empty. Imran Garda, Al Jazeera, Washington.